we're back. And we got a bunch of broken stuff to talk about. Let's get into it, guys. Now, in the last off-roading video, we broke a lot of stuff. So much stuff that I decided to make it a separate video to explain everything that happened. Now, the Red Explorer is a pretty good place to start. Before we even got to the first obstacle, it broke. I had some fellas over. They were helping me move stuff. One fella was not expecting the brakes to suck as bad as they do in this thing, and he got it going a little fast, caught a tree, and broke the knuckle. Now, luckily, the way the Ford Explorer supports its lower suspension, we were able to drive this out of the woods very slowly and carefully, and we didn't break anything else besides the knuckle itself. But both, fortunately and unfortunately, we do have a spare knuckle at this point. More of that later in the video. Next thing that broke. Now, my buddy brought his Cherokee over to play and to stay for a while until he works all the kinks out of it, but did end up breaking some lower shock bolts. He did a quick fix. He welded them back in. They're in for now. We'll see if they'll stay on the next time we go test this thing, but for now, looking good. Other than that, Jeep did great. These things really do great off-road. Here in Ohio, we get a lot of salt. Hard to find one that's not rotten out. This one was pretty rotten. The fellow who owns it did a lot of work to get it trail ready. A lot of welding. I stay away from the Cherokees because of that, because I like things cheap. And here in Ohio, things tend to get a little rusty. But I do like Cherokees. They do great in the woods. They're just very light. Great power to weight ratio right out of the factory. Tons of modifications you can do to them. And really the price on the modifications aren't that bad. It's just finding clean ones here in Ohio is kind of rough. Everybody I know in Ohio that full wheels Cherokees say the same thing. Oh, I got another shell for this one at home. So they deck everything out with all the parts, and when the body and subframe or whatever crinkles up too much, they move it all over to a different shell. That's great. Those guys are awesome, a lot of fun, but it's just not me. I'm looking for more wheel time than wrench time right now at this point in my life. Cherokees are great off-roaders, but the truth is I didn't get into Ford Explorers for the off-roading. Got into Ford Explorers because it's a great daily driver, comfortable seat. Like anything Ford, you got to pick the right years and models and engine options, because not all of them are great, guys. But I got it down to what I like. 96 OHV V6s. The OHV V6 across the board is just great. Great engine, very underestimated. Then they started messing with too many of them timing chains, and wow, what a mess. I know what some of you Explorer guys are thinking. Hey, they did put 5 liters in these. I know. Windsor's fantastic engine. They also didn't put low range in those Explorers. Very disappointing. Very. Otherwise, a pretty neat vehicle. If I was going to do a transfer case swap in one, I could make a pretty good rig out of one of those V8 Explorers. But who knows? Maybe a good deal on a V8 Explorer will fall on my lap someday. I don't know. Also, more broken stuff on this guy here, as to be expected. The frame let loose. Let's go take a look at that. Okay. I hope it all makes sense with all the mud and everything there, but that's where the leaf spring connects to the frame, and you can see not so much no more. Not so much at all. One of the fellas had noticed that the rear end was doing some weird stuff when I was going through mud holes, so we took a look, and yeah, of course the frame wasn't attached, so that's what it would do. So that's the story about our knuckle, our new one, from this one, there it is, to this one. Both 96s, should be exact fit, and no big deal. Back on the road. It kind of figures. I just put that new axle on there, so that's when the frame would let loose, as soon as I put the new axle in. Hey, no big deal. All these parts are still here. So what else have you been doing? How about destroying the Mercury's front end? Why not? Why not? This was all a bunch of unnecessary parts up here, like, you know, fenders, core support, bunch of stuff I just didn't need, guys. But the reality is it came to that this thing is getting a radiator in the back between the transmission leak and then tires rubbing the front fenders anyways. Let's just remove all that, put the radiator back here. It'll be a nice test for me as far as moving radiators to the back of vehicles. I want to start doing that more often. That's pretty cool. We can just plow into stuff without a worry. This was scraping the radiator on those deep ruts, so it didn't spring a leak yet. It would eventually. So it's going to be back here now. But in the future, I would like to do the same thing to this thing. I'd like to just remove all the fenders, the hood, and just the radiator and put it in the back and nub up the approach angle as far as you can on this. With this being a rack and pinion steering, I can really just get the approach angle as far as the tires and be able to climb straight up a wall. And other news, guys. Right now, they've been doing some logging in my woods, selling off some timber, hopefully enough to build a shop over here. You know, over here somewhere, you know? Nice place you could pull in, be dry, work on stuff. Maybe even put one of those, you know, lift. And hopefully I get enough out of this logging venture to do that. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do this Sunday's video. Might just be a tour through the woods to see what's left after all the logging's done. They took down some big trees, guys. But it will change the channel a little bit in a good way. And it's probably going to mean another four-wheel drive makes its way out here. I need a pickup truck for the woods, guys. So stay tuned for that. More shenanigans to come, guys. Thanks for watching.